Welcome everybody, and I am going to go over how to create your own races in Atavism so you guys can just follow along. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to want to do is we want to go to the Atavism plugin and let's create our race from there. So make sure that has time to load up. All right, so you want to go into your character, player character setup, and basically, from here, we want to create a brand new race. You'll have to go in, I'm sorry, first you actually have to go into option choices. And if you've already gotten a name for your race, you need to go into option choices and select race. I've already got my race in here, but you want to create a new one and just add that name in there. In this example, I'm creating a race called Vargan, and they are going to be a vampire type race. All right, so once you've done that, you want to hit Save Data. The next thing you want to do is now you go into the player character setup, and your new race will be in there in the edit mode, and you just put down the character race. Character classes, of course, you have to do this with each and every class that you have. Um, some some races that you create, you may not want them to have a certain class, so that's always a good option the way they have that set up. So for this example, we're going to make sure that we're going to do the bargain, and we're just going to do a warrior. The faction, what type of faction you want them to be. Um, in this case, and I'm going to do it later, but I'm going to actually create a bargain faction separate from human, but in this example, we're going to keep it human. Why would I want to do that? Well, the bargains are not going to be very friendly with the humans, and the humans are not going to be very friendly with the bargains. Um, okay, so the instances, where do you want them to start? Which instance? In my case, it'll be main world, and you can define what location that race is going to start in. So if it's a bargain warrior, you may have them start, let's say, and at the bargain lands in the Fighters Guild or something like that. Respawn instance. Basically where you want them to respawn. So if you want them to respawn back at the Warriors Guild, you would put that on whatever instance they're in, which main world, and then you would drag a cube that you would put in the main world and just drag it in there to get its location. Starting level, of course, start them on level 1. That's what I'm going to put. If you're using an auto attack, you can put that in, player attack ability, or whatever the case may be. Okay, most important thing about this is you have to put in the stats. If you do not put in the stats or fill these in, it will not work. It will give you an error, and it took me a long time to realize that. So at least the top stats for each and every one. And if you need an example, just go to your one that you've already created, and you can go to the human and get an example of what those stats would be. Okay, so when you go in here and you got all your stats filled out, make sure you hit save. Okay, now that we've got the Atavism plugin done, let's make the race itself. So if you go into the resource folder, and this has to be done in the resource folder, your new model itself has to be in there. Again, if you don't have it in there, then what will happen is it will error out and give you some issues. Um, so we are going to go to the resource folder. I'm going to move this over a little bit so I can see my arrows. Um, my resource folder. Okay, so what I do here is I'm going to look for the human male and the human female, and I am going to make copies of each and every one of them. And to make a copy, of course, you highlight it, Control D will make a copy. Then you want to rename them, which in my case, I named mine Vargan Female Race and Vargan Male Race. Um, when you make these, make sure that it has everything, the UMA human female appearance and the Atavism mechanism mob controller. That's the only thing you need for this. Make sure everything is filled out as well. Um, your appearance may not have everything in it. That's normal. Make sure your race name is Vargan female, okay? And also make sure at the very top of it, it is named as the same as your prefab. When you get down to the DNA properties, make sure all your DNA properties are filled out that coincides. And it should, but double check it because we've actually had a person on the forums that said his was not, and that was one of the problems that he had. Also make sure that this is filled out, the animation controller, and the recipes should be all in there. Okay, it should look exactly like your human prefab. Okay, do the same for your male as well. Make sure everything is in there and everything is all filled out. All right, so now that you've gotten that taken care of, the other thing that you will need to do is you will need to make the Vargan female atavism and Vargan male atavism, or whatever you're using for a name. You can copy these as well from the human female atavism and the male atavism. They're in the same directory. Again, with these, make sure it is the same name, Vargan female. Don't put race, Vargan female. Okay. UMA target is going to be humanoid. All this stuff should be defaulted. Okay. Don't change any of this. The only thing you need to change is just the race name itself. All right, so the next thing you need to do is you need to go to the character selection screen, double click it, and it's going to take a little while because I'm doing other things on my computer. Okay, here we go. First thing you need to do is click the UMA drop-down box, and on the very first one, the appearance controller, you're going to need to add in 2 more slots additionally. Mine is going to be 4. And you need to put in the mob race prefab. So the prefabs you actually have, you're going to drag those in, which I did here. And then the next thing you need to do is go to your race library and drag those in. Make sure that it's, additional. And that's the ones we just created a second ago. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else in here, but I just want to make sure. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is go into your canvas, go into character creation, and character creation left. You want to highlight your race button and duplicate it, Control D, and one will come down here. It'll be renamed, and it'll be race button 2. Scroll down while you have it highlighted, scroll down into your inspector, and you want to put the Vargan race atavism data in there, which, let me show you how to make that if you don't know. If you go into Assets, Atavism Objects, and Character Create Objects, duplicate your human race, put in, after you duplicate it, rename it to Vargan Race, and then drag your prefabs from your resource folder in here, and your classes that you have, which your classes will be in here as well, and drag those in there. All right, now that you've got all that done, be sure before you get out of this screen, make sure you go to File, Save Scenes, and Once you save it, go back to login, restart your server. I haven't made any changes, but restart your server. And once you've made that change, you'll be able to log in and with your new race. Now, if you get an error somewhere where it says it cannot find mob template, ID, or class, 9 times out of 10, that is going to be because you did not set a stat correctly in the Atavism plugin. If you get an internal log error, um, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to re-up your database because you've made a mistake somewhere in the actual setting up the atavisms in your client. Um, so before you attempt this, always make sure you back up your database to do this, okay? Other than that, you're good to go. Hopefully this video helped you out. If you have any questions, please post below. I will also be putting up some more videos explaining how to do things, including campfires, including how to use and set up weapons and animations, and just all sorts of stuff. And if you guys want to hear, or if you guys want to see any specific tutorials, let me know. I'll do the best I can. Thanks for now. We'll see you again.